Happy Diwali to everyone and welcome back to the multiverse of 100 plus data science project series. In this video, we are going to building an application which one is based on Python and react.js, and the project name is flight price prediction. For the front end side, you're going to using here the react.js and Tailwind CSS, and in the backend side, you're going to using here the Flask API. So let's see the demo application first. Well, so this is the demo applications, and inside that you can select your airlines. So let's select here the Indigo. Source city, let's select the Kolkata, and departure time, let's say morning, and stops, let's say 0 stops. Arrival time is nothing but the morning, and destination city is nothing but let's say Bangalore, and class, let's say select here the economy class, and date, let's select here 6. Okay, you can select here the departure time and arrival time should be morning or night, whatever else. Now click on predict, and now you can see here our flight price is coming up here is 3280.33, quite cheap in the economy class. If you select the business class and click on predict, and you can see here how the price is look like. So this is the application is only built on react.js and Tailwind CSS as well as the Python. So now without any further ado, we are going to start the tutorial right now. For building our machine learning model, we are going to use the data set from the Kaggle that's called flight price predictions. And this is a data set from the Kaggle. And if I go down, you can see here it having 3 CSV file. So you need to select here the first one get called clean underscore dataset.csv and simply go on here and click on download. But before that, make sure you have one account on that. And after that, I'm simply going to rename this one, rename this clean underscore dataset to be the flight. Okay, now what I can do, I am simply going to use the Jupyter notebook for do the coding part. So let's go on here. So right now we are in our Jupyter notebook. So what I can do now, first I'm going to importing the pandas library. So let's import pandas as pd. And after that, I am simply going to load our data set from our working directory. So let's say pd.read underscore csv. And inside that, I need to giving here my CSV file. So let's say fligst dot csv. Okay. If I see that it inside my same directory folder, you can say flight.csv. Okay. So let's say df equal to pd.read underscore csv flight.csv inside our parameters, inside our method. Okay, so what I can do is simply going to using here the shift enter, or you can also using this run button by running the shell. So if I wanted to check it out, that's a df.head, then you can see here that's our data set. It having certain folder, so the certain column and certain row. You can also check in that how many rows and column it have. So you can check it df.shape. Okay, then you can see how many row it have and how many column it have. So columns is nothing but called the features. Okay, that's mean it have the 12 features. Now after checking this out, is it a regression problem or a classification problem? We see that our data, the price is nothing but based on the predictions. That's mean this is a regression problem. If it is a classification problem, it having some certain classification just like 0 and 1, or it may be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 like that. Okay, but this is a regression problem and you need to predict that. That's mean this is a regression types of machine learning problems. So when we're going to choosing here any machine learning model, we need to choose the model based on regressions. So now what I can do, we simply going to drop the unnecessary column, and see we have a column called the unnamed 0. It's unnecessary, and also flight is not necessary. Which flight is it? It's also unnecessary, as well as the durations, because duration may be vary. It can be take the 2 hours, it can be take the 3 hours. It's based on the situations, based on the weathers. Okay, so we can simply going to drop those out. So what I can do is simply going to drop it out. Let's say df.drop. Okay, drop. And after that, we're simply going to giving here my not my, actually giving the name of the column name. So it having the unnamed 0. You can copy this up from here because we are lazy. And after that, we're giving here the another column that's called the flight. So let's say flist flight. And after that, you can giving here the duration because it's not needed. Okay, it's not needed. It's also called the feature selection part, which one is needed and which one is not. Okay, and now inside that, I'm giving here my axis. So axis should be in the columns, and after that, we should be going to make in press equal to true, so that it not taking the extra column at all. Okay, now shift enter. Now if I checking this out df.head, then you can see just white, the unnamed 0 flight and the duration is gone from our data set. That's mean our data set is clean right now, and we can have a look about the data. So let's say df.info. Then you can see the how many not null value. I mean, is there any missing value or not? You can also check the data type of that. And we say that there are so many categorical types of value: object, 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 and in 64 in 64. So price is nothing but our target variable that you need to predict it. That you need to predict. Right? So what I can do, we need to handle these categorical value as well. Okay, so let's try to first go for this line and checking that how many unique value are here inside our line. So line dot unique. Okay, unique. Okay, you can check this way. So you can see that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, it having the 6 unique types of value. It's called the Spice, Jet, Air Asia, Bistara, quite good. Go First, Indigo, quite popular as well. We do know about this one, and Air India. Cool. Because this data set is based on the Indian flight, right? No problem, you can choose any one of them. So now let's check and try to group by based on our price, because based on the price you're going to selecting here our airplane, right? So what I can do is simply going to group by it and try to checking that which one is most expensive. Okay, so what I can do is simply going to group by the airline based on the price. Okay, based on the price, CPRIC price, and we're simply going to take in the mean value of that, and after that we're simply going to sort it out, and after that we can simply going to plot it out. So let's a kind, and we can giving here the bar plot. Okay, okay, we can also import here one thing. Let's import here the matplotlib. Let's say mat plotlib dot py plot as plt, and after that we can using here one style plt dot style, oh style dot use, and inside that I can giving here ggplot, and after that I can using here the matplotlib inline, so that it can plot the graph in the inline format. Cool, it is loading. Hope so. Yeah, you can see the static sign. Any problem? Any problem? Any problem? Line is not okay. Inline. It should be inline. Cool. Now it's okay. Fine. Now what I can do is simply going to run this out. Now you can see here data frame object has no attribute called group. It should be like the group by. Cool. Again problems. Series object has no attribute called kind. Okay, it should be kind. Okay, it not be kind, it should be the float, and kind is equal to bar. Okay, this kind of mistake can be happening when you are going to do this code for the first time. See, first time I give here kind. Okay, then I actually replace it to float, and also forget that which library is not to be important. If I remove this ggfloat, then you can see one thing. Just remove this one, and if I am trying to run in this ones, and you can, okay, it's set it out. But if I am trying to running this for the first time, okay, it's not removing because it already set it. Otherwise you can see that your style is look like bat. Okay, so let's use this one ggplot. Okay, no problem. But if you don't use it for the first time, your graph is look like the old model. Okay, no problem, let's leave it. Okay, so we group by it, and we see that the Bistara, okay, Bistara having the more price. Okay, the airline called a Bistara is having the more price limit. Okay, just like the 30,000. Oh my god. And the cheapest one is called the Air Asia, and the Indigo is the cheapest one. Okay, Go First is also okay, and Air India is also just like the Bistara, but having said different on that. So you see that airline called the Bistara is taking too much money. Okay, you can also ignore that one. Okay, now let's go on to the next one. Let's try to explore it more. We have the airlines, then we have the class. Because based on the class your price may be vary. It can be the economic class or it can be the business class. So let's check it out how many classes are available on that. So left the df of class dot unique, so that you can see that is there any class or not. Okay, and you can see that we have two classes, economic classes and the business classes. Okay, so what I can do, we simply going to checking this out based on the economy class, based on the economy class. So what I can do is simply going to copy this group by, this group by, and try to match it out based on the class. Okay, so let's say df, and inside is df. Okay, inside this df, okay, inside this df, if the class, okay, sorry, if the class is equal to economy, economy, okay, economy, and dot group by based on the airlines, okay, based on the airlines and as well as the price. I mean, we are going to checking that based on the economy class. Okay, so you see that same as if the base star is taking too much money based on the economy class. I think so. It's based on the uh, business class as well. It's not just taking the mean of that. But if you're taking the mean of the economy class, you can see economy is nothing but just like 7,000 to 8,000. The highest price should be like that. But if you try to making this one in the business class, okay, let's copy this out. Let's copy this out. It's nothing but called the EDA, exploratory data analysis, right? So just checking this out. And now you can see for the business class, the price may be going for 15,000, 50,000, okay? Going for up to 50,000. Just it having the two airline. One is the Air India and another one is the Bistro. Just mean if you are selecting here the economy class, all the airlines are available for you. But if you are choosing the business class, if you are choosing the business class, just two airlines are available for you. Air India and the Bistro. Cool. So we know about our data set, right? We know about data, our data set. So what I can do now, we can simply going to convert this categorical value into the numerical. Because see, Air Asia, Indigo, if I going to pass this data inside our machine learning model, it can be understood. भाई क्या दिया मुझे तुमने वहीं पर? क्या है Air Asia क्या है? मुझे तो पता नहीं. तो मुझे क्या करना पड़ेगा? मुझे उसको कन्वर्ट करना पड़ेगा न्यूमेरिकल वैल्यू में. तो कन्वर्ट कर लेते हैं ना भाई. कन्वर्ट कर लेते हैं. चलो देखो कन्वर्ट कैसे करते हैं. Okay, let's see this out. Airplane, okay, airline, not airplane actually. Airline equal to df of airline, okay, airline dot map. Map कर दिया. Just taking going to map it out, okay. Okay, so क्या है ना Air Asia, तो क्या करते हैं इसको? Okay, मैं हिंदी में क्यों बात कर रहा हूँ? Okay, इधर पे जाओ थोड़ा, अब मुझे दिख जाएगा. बस खत्म. Okay, so we have the Air Asia, so it should be the class number 0. Then we have the Indigo, okay, Indigo, then it's nothing but the 1. Then we have the Go First, okay, Go First, okay, FIRST first, it's nothing but the 2. And after that we have the Spice Jet, Spice, okay, Spice Jet, and it's nothing but the 3. Then we have the Air India, so let's say Air India, it should be the underscore. Air India is nothing but the 4. Okay, and what we have the Bistara. Okay, Bistara is equal to 5. Cool. Now we're checking this out and checking the data type of that. Let's say df.info. Then you can see one thing. See, it's now converted into int64, right? Int64. That's mean we converted our data set, I mean each column called the airlines, into the numericals, Now let's checking for the another one. The another one is called the, let's go on here and try to use here df.head. So let's say df.head. We have the source city. We need to also convert this out. So let's check in this set how many unique value inside our source city. So let's say source city, okay, dot unique, unique. Okay, so you have the Delhi, Mumbai, Bengaluru, Kolkata, Hyderabad, Chennai. Okay, so what I can do, let's try to group by it and try to checking these ones. Okay, it's simply going to copy this out. We can copy this out and based on the price, so we can making should be the source city. Okay, so see that in the Chennai, it having the cost is too high, and Delhi is okay. Then Hyderabad, then Bangalore, then Mumbai, then Kolkata also. Okay. Okay. So now what can do now? We're simply going to mapping this out. Okay. we're simply going to map in this out. So what I can do, we can using here df of source city, and after that we're simply going to map it out, source source city, and then we're simply going to map it out. Oh, okay, first we have the Delhi, someone called Delhi. Okay, I call Delhi because I'm Bengali now. So Hyderabad. Okay, Pat Cummins. Then you have the Bangalore, the Virat Kohli. Bangalore. So it should be the 2. Then we have the Mumbai के बादशाह Rohit Sharma. क्या बोलते हैं ना? Mumbai is called the 3. Then we have the Kolkata. Kolkata में बहुत सारे हैं. तो Kolkata Andre Russell. Kolkata, right? Andre Russell. Or then Chennai Thala. I mean MS Dhoni. Okay, cool. Okay, source it is okay, fine. It's converted into the numerical. And now you can check it out. Info. Yeah, it converted into in64. Cool. Now let's checking the same thing for destination as well, because we have the source city and you also need to have the checking for the destination also. Destination city. So we can let checking this out, just destination city, and we can pass it out here, destination city, and checking it based on the price. And you can see here the Kolkata, if the destination city is Kolkata, it should be the higher. Okay, it should be the higher price. Okay, then you can see on there. So what I can do is simply going to copy this out, just copy same things, just going to change the source city into the destinations. So it should be the source city, this source city should be the destination city. Okay, this destination city, bus destination city, all of the things are same, all of the things are same. You can see Mumbai, Bangalore, Chennai, by just having changes on that, because you can see Chennai is um, थोड़ा आगे है, इसलिए मुझे यहाँ पर साइन करना पड़ेगा इसको, और इसको देना पड़ेगा कोलकाता. Okay, okay, you can see Delhi, Hyderabad, Bangalore. Okay, Hyderabad इसका बात है Mumbai, so Hyderabad should be, it will be Mumbai. Then it should be the Bangalore, so Bangalore. Okay, so Delhi, Hyderabad, Mumbai, Bangalore, then Chennai, then Kolkata. Okay, fine. So that's our destination city. Cool. Now you can check in here your departure time as well. So you can check in this departure time, it having some evening, it can be the early morning. So you can check in for the unique value as well. So let's check in for the unique value so that you can just have a know about that, how many values are available on that. Evening, early morning, I don't like this one. Morning, even no like. Afternoon, okay, fine. Night, also fine. Late night, also be fine. Okay, because I don't like this morning, early morning. सुबह सुबह नींद से उठ के भाई कौन जाएगा भाई पर. Okay, so departure time, cool. So now what I can do is simply going to say convert these ones. Okay, convert this one into the numerical. So let's say df of departure time. So departure time. Okay, departure time, and simply going to convert them into, okay, departure time. Okay, you can do anything else, you can taking this evening should be the 1, or you can taking this early morning should be 1. Okay, so let's taking the early morning should be 1. थोड़ा अलग ही करते ना, early morning should be the 0. Then we're simply going to take in this morning equal to 1, morning equal to 1. But it's better you can just follow one sequence. So morning के बाद, early morning के बाद morning होता है, इसके बाद afternoon होता है, ऐसे करना बस. Okay, then afternoon, then what you have, we have the evening. Okay, so we have the evening, it should be the 3. Then we have the night, then we have the late night. Just follow the sequence, just it. Night, then we have the late night, so it should be the late night, it should be the 5. Cool. So what we have the departure time, and it also be converted into the numerical. Let's checking this out, and you can see it's converted into the integers. Now you just having the two left, three left. Okay, class and also the stops and the arrival time. So what I can do is simply going to first uh, going to copy this one, because departure time and the arrival times, it should be the same, because it should be the early mornings or the mornings or afternoon, evening. All of the things are the same. Just having some, uh, just having different with the class name. So we can copy this out. We can copy this out, and it should be here. Okay, it's also converted into like that. And now if I am going to copy and I'm going to cut it and I'm going to paste it here, and then you can see here it also converted in integers. Just two things left, one is stops and another is a class. So let's check in here how many stops it have. It can be 0 stop, or it can be 1 stop on 2 more. If I go from Dhaka to Kolkata or Dhaka to Delhi, and it is stop from the at the Kolkata, that's called the steps. Okay, stop, sorry. If you go from, let's say, Kolkata to Delhi, there's also a stop, I think so. Or if you're going to, your flight is going to the, if your flight is going from Kolkata to the Bangalore, if it is the flight is going from the Delhi, so Delhi should be the stops. Okay, I mean Delhi should be a stop. So it having 0, 1 or 2 or more. Okay, it can be a stop. So now what I can do is simply going to convert them into the categorical to the numerical. So it can be the stops equal to df of stops dot map, and inside that I'm simply going to map it out. So let's say 0, and then I'm simply going to make it 0, and for the 1 I am going to convert them into 1, and the 2 and more, 2 or more. And one more interesting thing in this video, actually, I actually am supposed to be making this video in Hindi, but I decided that because this is a completely new types of projects, because we're going to adding here the react.js and also the Flux. That's why I decided that why not just making this in English, so that all over the country, in the India as well as the United States, so many people are going to watch these runs. Okay, because in India, in the south side, some people don't understand Hindi as well, and most of the subscriber is coming from the south side. That's why I decided to making this project in English. Okay, so fine, cool. Now what I can do is simply going to convert these classes as well. So let's see how many classes are available. So it should be the unique two class line, two class unique. Okay, just having two classes, economy and the business class. So let's try to map it out. Economy should be 0 and business should be 1. Bus. Okay, so let's make it class, and you have the df of class dot map, and then inside that I need to give here the economy should be the 0, and the business should be the 1. Fine, let's check in the df.info. Now you can see that all the classes should be converted into integer. Cool, सब कुछ हो गया. Now let's checking for is there null below or not. Let's say is null, that's on. Okay, that's also cool. You don't need to handle in the missing value at all. So now what I can do is simply going to go for model building. So for that, we are going to divide our dataset into train, test, and split. So we're going to using here from sklearn.model selections. We're going to importing here the train, test, split. Should be the underscore. Bas khatam. From sklearn.model selections, import train, test, and split. Any problem? It should be the selection, not selections. Okay, fine. Now let's divide our dataset into dependent and independent features. Okay, so x and y, I mean target variable is nothing but our df of price, which one we need to predict out. Okay, then after that, except the price column, we can drop all of them. Okay, because this is a easy technique. Okay, price, and inside the axis should be the 1. So divide our data set into x and y. You can check in the shape of the x, and you can see shape is nothing but 8, because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Except price, we have the 8 features. Now we're simply going to divide it and try to pass it inside our train, test, and split. So let's pass it out, x and y, and we need to giving here the test size is nothing but 0.8 or 2, 0.2. 80% data for the training and 20% data for the testing. and then we can giving the random state so that it's not changing the state in every time. So state equal to, let's say, give it a 42. Cool. Now let's assign into the variable called xtrain and the xtest, ytrain and the ytest. Fine. Any problem? Okay, comma is missing. Now it's fine. Now let's select here a machine learning model. So you can also cross check it out. You can select all of the models and try to do the hyper parameter tuning and try to choose one the best model. So in this case, I'm just going to, because I'm just going to making this project, so that's why I'm going to choosing the linear regressions. You can choose any of the regression model and try to cross check it. You can cross validate it and also do the hyper parameter tuning if the model has the hyperparameter tuning, and you can choose the best parameter and you can choose the best model. Okay, it's your job. But if you have any problem on that, if you don't know how to do that, you can follow my advanced projects also, which one is available in this series as well. Advanced projects, which one is based on healthcare. It's like diabetes predictions. It's also advanced. The brain tumor predictions, the heart disease predictions. Okay, all of the things I covered up on here. You can follow this out and you can also replicate the same process in here. Okay, so what I can do, I'm simply going to using here the linear regression. So let's say from sklearn dot linear model, I am going to importing here the linear regressions. Okay, see, when I press the tab from our keyboard, I am a tab key from the keyboard, it will give me the auto solutions. You can see auto complete as well. Linear regression. So now let's creating here an instance of that. So let's say lr equal to linear regressions, and after that I'm simply going to fit it out. Let's say lr dot fit with our xtrain and the ytrain. That's it. And you see our model is ready right now. Now you can simply going to checking the score of that. So lr dot score, and inside that we can giving here our x test and the y test. It's nothing but my accuracy. It's 90%. Quite good. Quite good. So for the linear regressions, you can also calculate the mean absolute error. If you don't know about the linear regressions, you can just go on the Google and search for that. What are the equation about the linear regressions? Y equal to mx plus c. Simple. Okay. Now let's use here from sklearn dot metrics. Okay. So it having an error value. If you wanted to calculate this one, you can also do that. It's called mean absolute error. Okay, that's called mean absolute error, also R2 square error. Okay, you can also do that. Okay, so mean absolute error. So let's import it. Let's say mean absolute error. Okay, mean absolute error. You can, but before that, you need to also predict it out. Then you can apply this one. So let's say alr dot predict, because if you want to calculate this mean absolute error, you need to giving here your actual value and the predicted value. So that's why I need to test it out based on my prediction value. So let's say y predictions, and then now I can going to calculate here our mean absolute error. So how can I do that? We can using here the mean absolute error, and inside that I can giving here my y test value and now my y prediction value. So that's my mean absolute value error 4497. Okay, quite good. Now we're simply going to save our model, because we are gonna use this model to making our React applications as a front end and Flask server as a backend. Okay, just mean we're going to connect here our Flask and React. And for this case, you're going to also using the Tailwind CSS in the React side for designing these ones. Okay, because it's so easy to use here in the Tailwind CSS to building any applications. Okay, so let's say dump, and inside that I can giving here my model, and I need to giving here my model name. So let's say model dot pickle file, and in the form of wb. Cool. And if I checking this out, you can see here model dot pickle file is saved on here. Now what I can do, we simply going to go on the VS Code and try to first check that how can we configure the react.js. React.js plus Tailwind CSS. Okay, and after that, what I can do after configuring these ones, then we simply going to making our server using Flask. Okay, using Flask, we're going to making our server. We're going to making our server, And in the front end, you're going to be using here the react.js and the Tailwind CSS. So let's go on the VS Code and try to configure the react.js and the Tailwind CSS. And after that, we're going to do the code for the Flask. Okay, so let's go on here. Well, so now we're going to see that how can we configure our React applications, I mean React projects, as well as the Tailwind CSS. So for this case, we're going to be using these documentations that how can you install the Tailwind CSS and as well as the React.js projects. So what I can do, I need to go on my folder, and after that I can go on that open code so that I can open my Visual Studio Code here. I think I'm having some problems in the new look. Okay, let's click on OK. Okay, then let's go on here and open the terminal and new terminal. Okay, so what I can do, we're simply going to install the, we're simply going to creating here our Node.js projects, React projects using the npm. So make sure that your Node.js should be installed in your system. Otherwise, this npm command is not going to work. So I'm going to use here npm create, okay, create beat, okay, at the rate of latest. See, npm is node package management and create for nothing but creating the projects and using the bit. Okay, now into giving here your project name. Okay, so give here on project name, let's call flight prediction. Cool. And into creating here the projects, but for that you need to select here your framework, which front-end framework that you're going to using it here. So you're going to use it here React, and the language is nothing but JavaScript. Okay, and inside this section you can see here flight predictions. This folder is created with having some files. Okay, now what I can do, you can just change directly just using a cd, and you can go inside this flight predictions. Otherwise you can just go on here and open folder, and you can select here this folder and this folder and click on select folder. Now it will open in this one, and now you are inside this folder. Now you can open the terminal on here. You can new terminal. Cool. Then after that, you need to install the packages. So let's say npm, okay, npm I for installing all of the package. Okay. So inside this section, you can see here one folder is created that's called the node module. Just avoid because it is installing that. And after that, we're simply going to configure our Tailwind CSS. So for that, we need to go on the documentations, and we do the npm create. You can also use the cd, nothing but call a change directory. And after that, you're simply going to copy this one, and after this one, then we can pass it out, right, to configure the Tailwind CSS. Just to wait for a few seconds. Well, so installation is done. Now I'm going to paste in here the things that I copied in order to configure the Tailwind CSS, because Tailwind CSS is needed here. And now you can see downloading all of the files from the internet. And after that, what I can do is simply going to do some changes on the code. Okay, so just to wait because it's taking time, because it's fetching the data from the internet and as well as it installing that. Now let's configure this one, npx Tailwind CSS init. It's nothing but for the initialization, and inside the sections you can see one thing that one extra file is actually created, tailwind.config.js. And in this file we need to actually do some changes on that. So what I can do is simply going to go on here, and you can see this kind of file is created. So we need to copy this out. Okay, you can see Tailwind config file is created, and just need to remove all the code from here and just simply going to paste it here. Okay, and after that you need to go the same thing and go on the index.css. Just go on the index.css. Here you go. So you need to remove all of the things. Then after that you need to paste it here. And then what I can do is simply going to go to the terminal and run npm run dep. So just go on here and run here npm run dep. And now our React.js project is running up and down. So till opening in the localhost, just follow the link. And then you can see just white, it is loading here. Okay, the bit or byte, whatever you can say. Okay, the project is ready, I hope so. Okay, then you can see Tailwind CSS. Yeah, no utility found. Nope. Yeah, you can see byte plus react count 00. Okay, if I click on here, you can see count 7 8, right? Okay, yeah, our Tailwind CSS projects and React is also configured. So now what I can do, we need to creating here our server. So for creating the server, you're going to be using here the Python Flask framework. That's mean for the backend, you're going to be using here the Flask API, and for the front end, you're going to be using here the React.js and Tailwind CSS. You can also add in here the MongoDB as well. Okay, you can also add the MongoDB. If you want to store your data, then you can easily do that. Okay, so now what I can do is simply going to configure our server, and after that we simply going to come this file again. Okay. Well, so that's our code. It's nothing but the server side code, or you can say the backend side code. And this code is written in Python. And the framework name is called Flux. Okay. So see, it's simple. It's really very simple. Just we're going to creating here all of the codes in server side, and we're simply going to set the request to the our React.js, and React.js is taking the data from the users because this is the front end, and it actually hit the server, hit into the server, and server give me some request in the form of JSON. Simple. So see, for that we're simply going to using the Flux. So from Flux you input the Flux because you need to creating here the applications in top of the Flux. Then you also use here the request because you need to taking the request from our React.js front end. I mean, because it having some text box, it having some options, or it having some date time, because you need to taking this out, and after that we can do the predictions, because prediction can be happening inside the Python file, not the React.js file. React.js is nothing but just for the front end. And also using the Jasinify. Why Jasinify? Because see, this Flux is nothing but an API. An API, how in the send the request sent in the form of the JSONs. Okay, JavaScript object notation format. Then we can just simply going to taking these objects and try to check that how the prediction should be. Okay, it can be the 7,000, it can be the 8,000, it can be the 50,000. Okay, then you input the pickle because you need to load here our model, and also import here the date time because it having some certain things, because you need to also select the date as well. Then you also import from Flux codes, we import here the codes. But why codes actually? See, in usually creating the application, we do need to import in the codes because we are going to integrating with the React.js and a Python in two types of things. One is JavaScript and another is the Python. We're simply going to connect it out because this is totally different types of framework and totally different types of language. So that's why I need to pass our application inside the codes. Okay, समझ आया आपको? Okay, now we're simply going to create the app of that Flux underscore name. Simple. Then we're simply going to passing these apps inside the codes so that our React.js can taking the data from our server. Let's assume that this is a server. And now we're simply going to load our model, pickle.load and write mode. And then that is nothing but my data. Okay, that's nothing but my features. Okay, so see, there's the features. Then I need to actually convert them into the numerical. Okay, numerical, because all the data should be in the form of the categorical format. If you go on that this Jupyter notebook, then you can see we simply first going to group by all of them and checking that based on the price, and after that we simply going to making this in the form of numerical. I mean categorical data to the numerical. See, we're simply going to mapping this out. So you need to do the same thing in our server side as well. So for the airlines, for the source, for the departure date, I mean departure time, the stop, the arrival time, the destinations, and the class. Class is nothing but the economy or the business. And now we have all of our data. We have all our data. So when the user select the specific name, because user not selecting the numbers, user selecting the names of them. Is it Indigo, is it Delhi, or the Hyderabad, or the Kolkata, okay, or the morning time, or the zero, I mean the stop, zero stop, or the one stop, or the time is the afternoon or the night. Okay, like that. Or the class should be the economy class or the business class, like that. So that's why you're simply going to convert all of them in the form of the dictionary, in the form of the dictionary, and in the form of the numbers. Now we're simply going to checking for the method is post method. So post method, why I told you how I'm actually creating the React applications, and the how the users clicking this predict button, in the React applications, then we simply going to store the request in the form of JSON. That's simply going to creating here on JSON, empty JSON. Then it will simply store all the data, which one is coming from our React.js, So see, that's mean we store the data based on my dictionary in the form of the JSONs. See, airline, source city, departure time, all of the things. Now we have all of the things, all of the data. This data is nothing but coming from the React.js, front end. No problem, I will told you again, no problem. I just actually explain all the things, what is actually happening inside this code. Then after that, you're simply going to calculate the date difference. It's the same difference, date difference of the on the departure time and on the arrival time as well. And then we're simply going to creating one list of the features, and after that, we're simply going to pass this feature inside our model, and our model give me the predictions for the first time. And this is our prediction. And now the prediction is should be converted into JSONify. That's me converting the JSON and simply going to pass this data in the form of JSON. Now this JSON file in our link. So it should be localhost. Okay, let's say localhost that 5000. Then we have the predict like that. And now this predict, this link send one API request to the React.js applications, and React.js application taking this request and show that this is the predictions. Now you're going to see that in the React.js side, how the UI look like. Then we come again here because अभी भी थोड़ा बाकी है यहाँ पर. मैंने तो एक्सप्लेन किया है पर क्या हो सकता है, लेकिन हम तो फ्रंट एंड अभी भी नहीं देखा. मुझे फ्रंट एंड देखना है. फ्रंट एंड के बाद मुझे पता लग जाएगा यहाँ पर डेटा कहाँ से आ रहे हैं और कैसे आ रहे हैं. देखो मैं बता देता हूँ, सीधा सीधा हिंदी में बता देते हो. देखो क्या हो रहा है यहाँ पर. देखो हमने क्या किया, मशीन लर्निंग मॉडल बना दिया. बस यहाँ पर सेफ है, पिकल में सेफ है, कूल. लेकिन क्या है ना, आप जब देखो यहाँ पर पाइथन फ्लास्क है ना, एक फ्रेमवर्क है. React.js जावास्क्रिप्ट एक फ्रेमवर्क है. दो अलग अलग. तो हम क्या करेंगे, सर्वर चलाएंगे पाइथन पे और फ्रंट एंड चलाएंगे React.js पे. फ्रंट एंड काम कर React.js का और बैक एंड है किसका, पाइथन का. तो क्या करेगा, फ्रंट एंड से डेटा लेके सर्वर पे आएगा. तो सर्वर क्या करेगा, उसको एक रिक्वेस्ट देगा, क्योंकि फ्रंट एंड से रिक्वेस्ट आएगा सर्वर में. सर्वर इस रिक्वेस्ट को प्रोसेस करेगा. प्रोसेस करने के बाद बैक एंड में फिर भेजेगा, लेकिन किस फॉर्म में, JSON फॉर्म में, क्योंकि ये एपीआई है. फ्लास्क इज नथिंग बट एपीआई. तो इसका बाद वो क्या करेगा, और सिंपली इसको रिटर्न कर देगा React.js में. इसका बाद वो शो कर देगा क्या हुआ, प्रेडिक्शन क्या है, बस खत्म. तो क्या करेंगे आप, React.js को मुझे जो मेरा फ्रंट एंड का कोड है ना, वो मुझे देखना पड़ेगा. इसके बाद मैं पता लगा सकता हूँ यहाँ पर क्लास क्या है, एलन क्या है, सोर्स सिटी क्या है. मैं शुद्ध हिंदी में आपको बता रहा हूँ. राइट. तो चलो देखते हैं React.js का कोड कैसा होता है. Well, so now you can see here our React.js project is up and running. So let's see that what happening here. Yeah, it's also same. So you can go on here, and now we're simply going to go on the app.jsx, and I am simply going to paste here one code. Just paste here one code, because I'm not going to do the same code again and again. I mean, sorry, I'm not going to do this code from the scratch for wasting time. Okay, no problem. React.js प्रोजेक्ट में तो ऐसा बहुत कुछ आएगा, तो दिक्कत की कोई बात नहीं. ओके, हम यहाँ पर जा सकते हैं. यहाँ पर ओके, देखो XOS या it's not available, it does not actually exist here, because see XOS is nothing but for taking the API request from the server. तो इसलिए मुझे क्या करना पड़ेगा, I mean what I need to do, I need to install that, right. Terminate कर लो. So let's say npm ix, okay, npm ixoif. देखो यहाँ पर बस खत्म, done. Okay, this XOS library is nothing but for taking the API request, because Flask is nothing but an API, and data is sent by in the form of the JSONs. So that's why you're going to using here this one. Now we can simply going to running it out. Let's say npm run app. Cool. Then you can see, just to wait, you can see here this one. Okay, just to wait, you can closing this out. It's loading and loading. Now you can see here, this is our applications. This is our application, how it look like, right? So you can select here, there's a space, a SpiceJet. We can select here the source city. Then you can select here the, let's say morning, and you can select here the stop, let's say 0 stop. Arrival time, let's say morning दिया हो या फिर morning. Destination, let's say Delhi to Bangalore. Then class, let's say economy class, क्योंकि हम गरीब है. Let's say select here the 6 and click on predict. Now the problem is, see, the prediction is not happening. Prediction is not happening, but why? Because the server is not running. So if I go on that and try to go on here, or you can run on here, so we can check that when the server is going to running, then our application should work. Okay, application should be work. So now what I can do is simply going to go on here, and now if I go on click on predict, now you can see here our prediction is coming up, because server is running up and down. सर्वर से डेटा आ रहा है इसलिए तो प्रेडिक्शन हो रहा है ना, नहीं तो नहीं होगा। अब देखेंगे इसको कैसा हम क्रिएट किया है ना। देखो सिंपल सा कोड है यहाँ पर, मैं इतना डीप नहीं जाऊंगा क्योंकि रिएक्ट के लिए तो बहुत सारी प्रोजेक्ट ऐसे ही आएगा। ओके देखो, सी फर्स्ट लेट्स सी द यूआई फर्स्ट। ओके, मैं एपीआई वगैरह सब बात करूंगा एक्चुअली। देखो, when you're creating here one React applications, you have one app.jsx. It's the main file. If you go inside this index.html, by internally it will running here the root. It will running the root, and inside the source you have the main.jsx. If I go inside this main.jsx, it having an app. That's mean it is internally calling the app. See, internally calling this app. Now this is the app. Now see, we have one div, and inside this div, we simply going to give our mean height screen. The bg is nothing but a gray, and gray of 100, and flags we simply going to using the flags, and flags call an item, it should be center. And see, all of the items should be inside the center. In the form of center, we simply going to add here on flags. Okay, and after that, idhar pe nahi hai bhai, idhar pe jao. Then after that, we simply going to add one text that's called flight price predictions. This one, flight price prediction. And inside that, we give here the text tree Excel, and font is semi-bold, and color diya hai hum kya ho, text below. And MB, that's in margin bottom, is nothing but it. So that it getting some margin. It getting some margin. You can see it getting some margin, right? It's getting some margin. And after that, we're simply going to creating here one from. We're simply going to creating here and from. So inside this from, we have some text box. We have some text box. So you have the airline field. Okay. So inside this text box, you can see here, this is nothing but one field. We can select the data from here. That's mean our state is changes. Our state is changes. It's called that we can using here so many kind of hook. It's available inside React. We can using here the use state. Use states mean hook means let's say तुम किसी को पकड़ सकते हो, पकड़ के कुछ वैल्यू वहां पर रख सकते हो, ऐसा होता है रिएक्ट में, राइट? मैं देसी भाषा में बोल रहा हूँ। ओके, तो देखो, we simply going to creating here on from, and inside the from we need to giving here one submit, because based on the on submit we simply going to pass the data into the server. We pass the data into our server, and our server give me the response for that. Now we're simply going to give the class name because I'm not going to actually invest on that. Then we simply going to creating here on div, and inside this div we simply going to give here our level called airline. Then inside the select, it's important name airline, and inside the various sections we use here the from data. See, from data dot airline, from data dot airline, and handle change. See, handle change. So handle change is important here. See, we simply going to creating here two function. One is the handle change, and another is called the handle submit. So why handle change? Because this is an drop down menu. This is an drop down menu. And also you can see from data. See, from data. But now question is, what is the from data actually? See, we simply going to creating here all of the constant. Okay. It's one is the from data and as well as the set from data. By default, we simply going to set our state of our airline, the society, source, city, departure time, stop, arrival time, destinations, class, all of them should be in the 0 or null. You can say null. Okay, so we're simply going to set the data into the airline should be the 0, and also you can see set from data. That's mean you can set the data after. From data have only null value. Now you can set the data after. Now what I can do is simply going to set the data inside our from data. By default is nothing but 0. Then from data dot airline. From the from data, we simply going to actually put the data in the airline. Which one you are going to select it. Now, when the selection is done, obviously change can be happening. So that's why you're simply going to returning this function set from data. Set from data is nothing but this one. Now, when the data is coming up, when you can select the from, so by default is null. And when you set the data, this data should be stored inside the from data. This is how you can using here the use state. Okay, use state. So now when you set the from data, this is the from data, it will store the target name and the target value. And now inside our from data, set from data, that means see, right now you can see I select here the Rails ER Asia. Now ER Asia is set and it is stored inside the from data. Now inside the from data, I can select here the airlines. Simple things, right? then we can give here some options because option is based on the chains. Now the same thing for all of the things, same thing for here, same thing, Siko. Same thing, all of the data it has the same thing, from data dot scopes, from data dot arrival time, okay, okay, from data the destination city, from data dot class, okay, okay, from data dot departure time, okay, so departure date. So it having some changes on that. Value is okay, value is okay, just how you actually taking this mean, you just need to giving here the date in the from the string and you can splitting the of that. Okay, don't worry about the code, you can get all the code in the description, but तुम्हें कॉन्सेप्ट समझना आना चाहिए। क्या होता है यहाँ पर, जब सिलेक्शन बग से हम कोई सिलेक्ट करते हैं, हम कुछ को सिलेक्ट करते हैं, वो सेट स्टेट में जाता है, उसके बाद फ्रॉम डेटा में सेव हो जाता है, तब फ्रॉम डेटा से हम इसको निकालता है और यहाँ पर सेट कर देते हैं, बस खत्म। नाउ when the users click this submit button, so it will go to this from and checking for the on submit, and this on submit is calling the handle submit. On format is called the handle submit, and now the handle submit is async functions. But why async? Because it's coming the data from the server may be having some problem, so that's why we need to wait for that, that's why it's asynchronous functions. Then you're simply using the prevent default, it's having some problem, then you're also using the try catch. Now we need to avoid that, now because the data is coming from our server is nothing but in the from the JSONs. Now we need to using the access, and the method is nothing but the post method. See, method is under post method, and you're simply going to giving the link, same link 1 2. देखो यहाँ पर मैं जाता हूँ सर्वर में, किधर में सर्वर, देखो यहाँ पर देखो थोड़ा ऊपर जाता हूँ मैं, किधर गया, ये तो 127000001, देखो 5000 सेम पोर्ट यहाँ पर मैंने दिया. Also predict. Why predict? If I go inside this app.py, then you can see just a wide, it will call this predict, right? When you're clicking on that, now the from data is also saving. Now we pass the from data and also set predictions. Why set predictions? Set prediction is nothing but another state. Which one having one predictions? Which one having the predictions? That's why by default the prediction is null. When the user is not clicking, nothing should be shown in the screen. That you see that. If I go on that, and if I copy this out, and if I go on here and try to paste it here again, just to white, then you can see it don't have any value. That's in by default our prediction is null. And when the prediction is by default null, and we need to set the prediction as well. Now when we set the prediction inside our set prediction functions, our use state hook, it will go to this data inside this predictions, and you can see set predictions, we get in the response dot data dot predictions. It will store the predictions, otherwise passing having some problem. Now you can see you have the name called airline, then you have the name called source city, that's the name called departure time. So if I go inside our app.py, then you can see here it will take in this one. Same thing है ना, इधर से तो ले रहा है ना. Now it will give the prediction, it will return the prediction in the from the JSONs, and it will taking this out. If I go down, then you can see here if the prediction is equal to not null, and other then your flight prediction this one. Simple, ऐसे काम करते हैं. Now let's go on here and try to checking this out. So let's go on the full screen mode because I like the full screen mode as well. किधर गया भाई full screen mode. Now let's select here the गरीब का Indigo. Then हम जाएंगे कोलकाता. Morning I don't like, night में जाता है. इसके बाद select, so let's say 0 stop, arrival time let's say night पे गया, night पे पहुंच जाना चाहिए मुझे. डेस्टिनेशन सिटी किधर जाएंगे चेन्नई, दिल्ली तो घूम लिया, मुंबई घूम लिया, बेंगलोर नहीं घूमा, हैदराबाद घूम लिया, चेन्नई नहीं घूमा, चलो बेंगलोर जाते हैं. इसके बाद क्लास है, गरीब है, इकोनॉमी में क्लास. सो लेट्स सिलेक्ट हियर ऑन डेट, 8 तारीख को होते हैं फ्राइडे में, एंड क्लिक ऑन प्रिडिक्ट. Now you can see our flight price is nothing but 4000. बहुत सस्ता है भाई, कोलकाता से बेंगलुरु 4000 में हो जाएगा, नाइट पे जाना है. So this is the how your applications look like and how it actually work using react.js and Python. And this is the first time we actually creating here the react.js, Python, react.js, sorry, Tailwind CSS, Python, machine learning, Flask in one frame. Okay, hope so you like this video. So enjoy it and subscribe it, share it, comment here, everything. Thank you and bye bye.